Welcome again to the Stratum 7.4 review. So this is the latest release that we have for Stratum, and we want to talk about some of the benefits that you gain by upgrading to 7.4. If you are current on your maintenance, you are entitled to upgrade to the latest release. So it's certainly something that you should look into. And we're going to talk about some of the highlights of what version 7.4 brings to the table, and then we'll take a look at a quick demo. And then any questions at the end, you can feel free to either chat or just chime in. So it's just a little bit of a review on the Data Hub. Of course, this is the application of Stratum. As you can see, the actual Data Hub at a 30,000 foot level. And you can see that, different ways of getting data in and out of Stratum for the Data Hub. Today, we'll be talking about some of these features, such as like dashboarding, which is part of the 7.4 release, enhancements to email distribution and the broadcasts capabilities are also available in the latest release as well. And if you're a hosted customer, you can take advantage of Azure AD integration. And that's something we won't be talking too much about in detail today, but again, you would have to be a hosted customer to take advantage of that anyway. So with that being said, let's go ahead and take a look at some of these features for the 7.4. And probably the first major feature that we want to talk about is charting in the dashboard component. So we've upgraded the ability to, or I shouldn't even say upgrade, we provided the ability to do some charting within the Stratum dashboarding. Whereas before, you could only do charting within your view, and obviously that would come through to the dashboard, but the charting has been upgraded. It's actually a new engine, and it looks better. It just more cosmetically appealing, and so yeah, you can build really nice looking dashboards based on some of the views behind the scenes, and make them look nice and professional. And there's some things that you can do to them, as we'll see in the demo, to hover over them and get little pieces of data from them, or you can drill into the view behind the dashboard or behind the graphic and drill into more detailed data. So there's some things that we can delve into once we get to the demo. Another major feature is the Broadcast Manager processing notifications. They've been created and enhanced so that you're getting more information when you get your emails about your broadcasts. And if you don't know what a broadcast is, it's basically a way to email out views to your users. And you can also distribute views as Excel downloads to your network and to your file shares on your network or to the cloud. So there's different ways of bursting out your data, your reports and your views from Stratum to your user community. And this is what we call broadcast server. And so within that piece is another piece called Broadcast Manager that allows you to manage, obviously, all these things. And so we'll take a quick look at that and some of the enhancements that we've done there. And again, like I said, we've also included Azure integration as well. So that's only available to the Stratum Cloud customers. Okay, so what's new in 7.4? There's a what's new document available, so you might want to check that out. That's actually a snapshot of it right there, where you can see and read about some of the new features within 7.4. You can get that off of our customernet.sylvan.com site, and I'll have that URL at the end of the session for you, so you can jot that down. But yeah, and you can download any other what's new documents. We've got documents for previous versions as well. So take your pick. If you're a few versions behind, you can read up on some of the stuff that you're missing out on. Dashboarding. So basically some of the new things that you can do, as you can see, you can do some gauges. We've got other, obviously your traditional charting is available. And so when you go to your dashboard designer UI, it'll present you with some options to choose which graphic you want to choose for that particular view that you select for your data. So think of a view as basically providing a data set to your graph within the dashboard. And so when you get into the designer, you'll see a new menu offering that'll allow you to create these new graphs. And we'll take a look at that in further detail in the demo. The nice thing about these charts is that they're cleaner, they're way more modern looking than the charts that you can build within the view. They're easy. You don't necessarily have to know what a data point is or a series. So, I think it's actually much easier to create them than within the view. There's a pretty large library of different chart types, and I'll show you how to get to them. And again, you still have the option of showing the viewer charts if you want, no problem, or you could have a mixture of the dashboard charts and the view charts as well. The open Stratum view used for the dashboard widget in a new tab. So that's allows you to actually view the data, the actual view behind the chart. So it lets the user move back and forth between the content in the dashboards and its related view. And so friendly reminder, the menu option for getting to the dashboard is in the hamburger menu. So I'll show you where that is in the demo. So that way you can get to start your dashboard building. So here we're going to talk a little bit about the broadcast manager enhancement. So as you can see, when I run these jobs, they might run overnight on a scheduled basis. And then I, as a administrator, would like to know if it ran and if it ran successfully. So we can see now that we get an email that it has completed. I also get a log attached to the email, which I didn't get before. So now I can actually check the logs to see, whether it completed successfully or not. And as you can see, the actual email will tell you within the email notification whether it was successful or not. You can see it says process failed, process completed. So enhancements have been made so that you can actually set these up so that you know right away, instead of actually not getting anything at all, you just got the process was complete. You didn't know if it errored out, and you had no idea whether it was successful. So now we do, and also we have the log file. So if something has errored out, we can go into the email and immediately start examining the log file. Whereas in previous versions, you actually had to get on the server and go to the location of the log file where it was, right? If you even had access to the server, which was another problem. So much better, right? You're getting emails, you're getting alerted, you're getting notified with more relevant data about whether you're successful or not in your processing for your different broadcast schedules out there. Okay, that way you obviously make sure that everything's functioning properly. Here we can see where you can set some of that up. We can see that within the interface, there's areas to set up both the successful and the failure email verbiage. So again, that's within the interface under the broadcast manager settings, and we can go in, set that up so that we get the appropriate emails. We get the appropriate email for both success and failure. And as you can see, attaching the process log, you can turn that off if you wanted to, but I would strongly suggest that you keep that on. Another cool thing is that the broadcast manager now checks for cube availability. So obviously, when you run these things, you want to make sure that the view or the the data is available. So once you run these ad hoc, and you might get a warning telling you that the data is not available. You'll also get a failure saying that the data is not available, and you can see that you get the email for the failure and the log file. Now, when you come to the broadcast manager within the user interface, we've added a few new fields to that menu so that you can see when the actual broadcast action has been run, the last time it was processed. Was it successful? If it errors out, obviously you wouldn't see completed, you'd see error. And then that way you can do the necessary cleanup, monitoring from the actual broadcast menu that's been enhanced. So from the menu, you can actually eyeball it pretty quickly to see errors and dates of completion. So a nice place to manage your different broadcast actions. So basically, when you set up a user profile, there's been a warning added in case you leave the email blank. So essentially, it says that you don't have an email associated to that user profile. If you want to include that user ID in any of the broadcast actions, they're not going to get anything. So basically, it's just a nice little message saying, hey, you might want to put in the email into the user profile field, which I would suggest that you would do anyway. And for the cloud users out or the cloud customers, this is something that we do, or we at least try to confirm that it's available and set up properly. Okay, with that being said, let's plop into a demo and take a look at some of this stuff. All right, so here we have the charting. So right away, you can see my dashboard. So I've made it basically my homepage of this particular demo environment. And we can see some of the new dashboarding, features, what they look like. And I've got a nice, plethora of different types of charting capabilities that we do. As you can see, we've got the bar chart, of course. We've got pie charting, either in 2D or 3D, line charting, so you can trend out your divisions, which is basically what we're doing here. Down below, we've got another bar chart, but it's more of I would say this is more bar, this is a column. But as you can see, yeah, you can flip the axes on those. I can customize, I can do some slanting. I can customize some of the labels on the axes, of course. Gauging, so that I could see my profitability, gross margin numbers by division. Or if you just simply want a data grid out there of data. Maybe there's a view out there that lends itself nicely to a dashboard. You can then drill in on the data, and it will actually drill in and show you the drill down. So the view is functional, of course, like it would be, as if you were running the view by itself. And you can drill down and do the necessary analysis within the actual data grid widget. So each one of these are different types of graphical widgets and that you would select when you build the dashboard. If I wanted to jump behind the scenes here, you can see a little menu option. I can then click on that, and I can do a couple of things here. I can open this item in a new tab, which basically just shows me the graph in another tab. It just renders it. It's bigger. Maybe you're building a presentation. This might lend itself nicely to that, where you can then do a screen print on this and copy it into a PowerPoint. It's a nice size, so it gives you a little bit more of a grand picture of the actual graph itself. We can see here the big pie. Isn't that nice? So it really does render nicely by itself in its own screen, if that's what you're looking for. Maybe if you're building a presentation. Maybe if I want to see the data behind this, we can see canned fruit just dominating the the business here. And let's take a look at the view behind this particular graph. Let's run that, and we can see that indeed that canned fruit is coming out on top. It's a good percentage of my business, as we can see here. Over here on the year-to-date number, it's just dominating. 140 with decent growth, 140 million, where you can see some of the other product categories are simply, they just don't compare, right? So the graph itself really highlights that nicely, where you can then kind of get a feel for the different product mix and how they contribute to your enterprise. On the right-hand side, we can see AR aging. So we can see money coming in or money due, right? We can see, and as you hover over these, they show you, which is nice. I like this because they show you the actual data points for the different bar charts. So it's very informative in terms of what you can see here. Interacting with the pie chart, I can hover over some of the smaller slices to see what they represent, which is great. Who's dominating AR? Well, it's Wilder Foods, both Eastern and Western. Good Lord, they're about 60% of our open AR right now. So we want to make sure they're probably one of our larger customers. And again, I can run the view behind this and do more analysis on this. We can see the actual view is using parameters. So, and then we can see the actual data for the AR report. And this is a nice Stratum report that shows, aging accounts receivable. It's got a little graph down here showing us, where most of that money's coming in. We can see that the aging here, past due 0 to 30, 31 to 60, 61 plus, gives you an idea of when this money is expected in. And, just adding those together, we can see, a total past due, or at least total AR past due for the month, as we age out, some of the other ones further. So, that's some of the data you can see behind the scenes. When you look at these graphs here, we've got a line chart that's showing trends for my divisions. Again, if I were to show this and do more analysis behind the scenes on this one, I could see that the food service and the grocery division, this is a time ranged view where I can see, I can drill in on time. I can drill from months to weeks. Might be something I might want to do here to see how the data looks at the weekly or daily level. And I could stack in days there if I wanted to. So yeah, getting to the numbers behind the graphs is a piece of cake and allows the user to explore it a little bit more and make more sense out of the actual graph itself. So how do we build these? What interface do we get to? How do we get to the interface? Who has access? That type of thing. Well, right now it's basically administrators. So if you're an administrator or if you're a review administrator, you will be able to access the dashboard menu and get to it. So I just clicked on it, and as you can see, I'll go back and show you again. It's in the hamburger menu in the upper right hand corner. Under manage things, we can see dashboards. And again, this is 7.4, right? So you got to have version 7.4 to get to that menu. If I highlight the current dashboard that we're using here, it would be, I think it's this one here called Stratum. Yeah, so this is the dashboard we were just looking at. So now I'm in my designer where I can make changes or I can create new ones from scratch, right? So how would I pursue some of this? Well, basically to make changes to my dashboard, as you can see, I've got all the different components that we saw within my dashboard. And first things first, I need to go into an edit mode. So here you can see that I can click on edit, and it then presents a menu here on the right hand side that allows me to add in any more graphs if I wanted to. Maybe I want to add another graph to the bottom of my dashboard, or it doesn't have to be on the bottom, but I can always replace it. So basically I can come in, pick a view that I want to use for the data behind my graph. And then as you can see, these little icons up here allow me to select the type of graph that I want to use. So if I wanted a bar chart or column or a line oriented chart or something pie oriented here, I make that selection. I then take my view that I wanted to use and I simply just drag and drop it over. It then renders the graph, and then you can go in and make the necessary customizations to the widget. So how do we do that? Well, when I bring in the new widget, we can see, or the new graph, we can see that I've got an opportunity to edit the item. And so that brings in a menu where I can then make the necessary changes, such as if I wanted to change what the chart, the graph is actually charting. So here, if I wanted to narrow down the actual column that I want to use here, right? So if I'm going to select a specific column, and certainly you can use a view that has not as many columns, it might be an interesting concept. But maybe I just want to use last year or this year-to-date sales for this particular graph. So I'm going to deselect these other measures, and I'm going to make sure that it highlights and focuses in on just year-to-date sales. Right. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. It makes the change. It reflects a slightly different number. It's probably using another column by default there. And then I'm going to go ahead and close that out. Okay. So the change was in effect. I can always go back into the menu and to certainly confirm indeed that that's the particular column that I'm charting. Right. If I were to maybe let's do last year instead of this year, we'll see maybe, yeah, the numbers change a little bit, not too drastically. So you'll decide, right, whether you want to use this year, last year, whatever column that you have within that view, you'll select that when you go into the edit chart menu into the settings, and then you can dictate what columns of data you'll be selecting there. For like this year and last year charts, again, you'd make the necessary selection there for that. So that was pretty easy. Oh, and another thing you want to do here is you can also change the actual chart type. So as you can see, I can change this on the fly to any other chart type. So maybe if I wanted to just change it to a column, I could do that very quickly. It gives me a preview. What would it look like, if I were to use a bar, or what would it look like if I was doing a line or a linear chart? So it kind of gives you a preview of the chart over here on the right-hand side before you commit it, right? Furthermore, you can go into these other tabs and do additional settings, like maybe make it 3D, or maybe it's a donut, and maybe customize the title. I can do other things with the legend, if I wanted to move the legend to the left, or maybe to the top or the bottom. It'll show you. It's kind of nice. You get a little arrow button to kind of go through the different legend items. So that's a pretty important piece there, right? Is being able to go in and make the necessary edits to and customizations to the chart, and customize it as needed. Change it, maybe select a completely different chart type. And then you can go into more. This is where the gauges are. So you can set those up. This is probably not the best one for, it's showing a gauge for each one of my legend items and what their sales are. So not the best idea for that, but you can do that. You can use a table within the actual graph, different things that you can really play around with. Scatter charts are available. What I like about this is you're just basically able to explore. It's something, gives you some ideas of some things that if it requires more or whatever, you can go in and read and figure out what you need to add in to make the chart work. But it's smooth, right? I mean, no errors. It's showing me it's so easy, and I can really kind of design in what I want here to my dashboard. Um, Once I stop, the editing, if I wanted to delete something, certainly that's available too. And if I wanted to delete this particular widget, I can do that and take that away, bring this one up, and have it look like this, basically. Let's bring that up a little bit further. There we go. I went a little bit too far, but so yeah, I mean, I can take this up further, play around with some of the spacing on it. You decide what how this is going to look. I can then bring this out. I can take this out and make it wider, right? So I can stack them up like this if I wanted to. And then once you stop the editing, then you go back to the product and you refresh. It'll then display based on how you last left it. And everyone would see, obviously, those changes that you just made. If you need more room for the designer, you can always get rid of some of these other menus. You can go into the edit mode, and get yourself a little bit more room to play around with. So much easier, I think, than the building the actual graph within the view, personally. So that's the graphic portion of it, right? Let's take a look at some of the broadcast items, because I know that we've got our different actions out there. And again, in 7.4, we've moved the broadcast menus over here to the hamburger menu under Analyst Tools. And I can go into see all my actions. And there are those new fields that you can see that you're getting to telling you when the last action was run, and whether gives you a timestamp and whether it completed or not. So we're getting more information on the action menu. And then if I go into my edit menu here, well, this is basically just the settings for the actual action itself. So if you wanted to make any changes here, you can do that. And then if I go into broadcast group, we can see again, you get the last time completed, same thing there. And so you know what's going on in terms of that. Schedule does the same thing. So this is so you'll attach your actions to a group, and a group essentially gets attached to a schedule. And so here we can see that this hasn't run in a while, but I can see the last time it was completed. So just minor enhancements there, but still make a big difference. And again, along with the emails, giving you more the log file and letting you know whether it's successful or not. I believe that is under set up under the application menu, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So here we can see under Access Hub, we can see that this is the area for where you would set up those emails for completion or failure for your broadcasts. So those are actually set up in the application menu within the interface. And you can turn on or off the process logs. attachments. So yeah, enhancements 7.4. You've got, and if we go back to our home page, we can see our dashboard. So that was a big one, obviously getting you the ability to make these fantastic looking charts, where they're completely interactive, and